you let me know if you can hear guitar and voice and things. This is probably just going to be a fairly quick, didn't mean to do that, little discussion. So I've been asked before about when I was doing the budget videos whether maybe there's no sound. Maybe? Sounds like maybe you can hear me. Is that probably definitely hear me now? 1, 2. Anyway, the idea of the video was when I was discussing sort of budget options for people to practice and all that sort of stuff, a few people mentioned plugins, and specifically the neural DSP plugins. So I've tried out the neural DSP plugins today. If you want to go on my channel, you can see a few of those demos and stuff. I don't have any issue with the sound of them, but I have the same issue with all of the plugins that I've tried, and that is that you can probably hear it, like it sounds like everything's fine, but there's actually a tiny bit of latency, not an unusable amount. So for practice like this, it might be fine, but when I go to actually record it, I naturally play ahead of the beat anyway, which is a thing that I've been working on for years, to try and not do that. But when you're playing with a plugin and you've got a bit of latency, that happens even more. So I don't like my playing with a plugin. It's generally the what I've found. I don't know if anyone else had any ideas of things that they've done to solve this issue. I mean, the one thing that I've tried doing is just shifting the audio file to where it should be if you didn't have, 6 or 10 milliseconds of latency or whatever. But I was just wondering whether people had thought of other ways around this. Yeah, I've tried doing that, and I get it to like this state here where it's not like a noticeable latency. Yeah, and like I said, when you're recording the thing, it feels okay, and then when you listen to it back, you'll find that you're rushing still more so than usual. It's something that I've always experienced, and that's why I generally don't use plugins by themselves. reasons that I think I'd always prefer to have the hardware, because my computer, for instance, isn't a particularly fast computer or anything. And the amount that I guess I'd have to spend to get a computer that could handle this stuff and sound card would probably be more than I'd spend on hardware anyway, I think. Cheers, Brian. Yeah, anyway, so that's just most of what I wanted to say. I just wanted to discuss why it is that I've never gone crazy with like plugins. Thank you for that. I can read your English quite well. But I guess you've written it in another language. Japanese, I'm guessing, or Chinese. Sorry, I can't read your language either. Brian, I would choose the Helix. Never a laptop because of this same reason. So I can't record in a way that doesn't have latency. Not an Iridium because it doesn't have enough effects and stuff for it to be like a creative feeling for me. Unless I'm using it with other pedals. Whereas a Helix, I can do everything I want with a Helix, or even an HX Stomp I would prefer over just the Iridium. Nathan, biggest musical influences, I'd say probably this guy. Not how it goes. So Eric Johnson is one of them, definitely. Although he plays the guitar in tune, which mine is not. Guitarists at the moment I listen to would be like Gilad Hexelman, Jonathan Kreisberg. I'm playing Pliny right now, MD. Thanks for that suggestion. If you go on my channel as well, I just put up a video with the Pliny. So hopefully you might check that one out. I really like the Pliny one. Favorite players growing up though were Thin Lizzy, the guitarist from that, Gary Moore. Then I listened to Iron Maiden for ages. Then Dream Theater, John Petrucci was a big one for a while. And then from there I sort of got into the jazzy stuff, so like Pat Metheny, Lee Ritenour, Larry Carlton, Robin Ford, Guthrie Govan for a bit. Who else? Eric Johnson's one of the main ones. Alan Holdsworth. Hi Tim. Cool. I think the Iridium works really well for some people. So as a friend of mine, Graham, who you might have seen the Sir video that I did yesterday or something like that. I just lent him the Iridium because he has been a Kemper user, but he's finding that he only really ever uses one profile or maybe sometimes the looper. I think if you've got a pedal board that you really like, then the Iridium can go on the end of that really nicely and sounds great. So yeah, I think it's a really good solution for a bunch of people, especially if you're wanting to go direct with something, but you don't want to change up your entire rig. You don't want to go like full Helix route or full Axe Effects or Kemper route. But if you've got a pedal board that you like, then the Iridium I think is a pretty decent, solid choice for that. Yeah, and I also maintain that probably the Fender and the Vox models on that are better than or as good as anything else that I've played on a modeler, from Helix to Kemper and all that stuff. The Marshall is not necessarily what a lot of people might associate with a Marshall. You might expect a bit more gain or a bit more of a scooped thing. I really like the Marshall for my kind of playing, but you might find that if you're a kind of a Marshall person, it might not have enough gain for you. So I think that I've done loads of videos where I'm pairing the Strymon with lots of other pedals to try and kind of get some of those heavier tones and stuff. But the Iridium tends to sound good for almost everything. What interface do you have, Tim? I think I used to have one of those. Is that the little blue one? Black's not the same as blue. All right. I think it's got a line and instrument level out. Let me just get it out. Hold on. Maybe not. But yeah, if you look at the back of it, that's what it looks like anyway. But I don't know if I've got instrument or level. Oh, I've got instrument and line level on my thingy, but I can use them in either. It's kind of pretty versatile. The level knob on it works pretty well. I tend to use it at just below mid for almost everything I do, so it's not peaking. But I don't think you'll have any problems with it from that point of view. So yeah, I wouldn't use a DI box with it at home. Sorry, you probably couldn't hear most of that. Am I planning to do a giveaway? What do you want given away? Hi, Chris. Brian, what would I give away that I don't use? If I've got any other thoughts on the Iridium before. Let's try a different setting on this. I'm not giving away my HX Stomp. Definitely not. Oop, I've just closed that again. Brilliant, that's annoying. My thoughts on the price of the... I think it seems pretty reasonable from where I'm sat. I think if they'd gone any more expensive than that, then it would have been a bit of an issue, but... let me just turn down the delay a sec. Sorry, I'll pay attention again now. Brian, the answer is that I'm not a perfectionist, so I just put up what my playing actually sounds like generally, which isn't always great, but so yeah, the release, the Quad Cortex Neural. So yeah, it looks like a cool product to me. Price wise, what is cheaper than a Kemper, isn't it? I think about the same price as a Helix, I would guess, is about right, isn't it? I don't know. Is it probably about the same price as an Axe FM3? $1,600. I think it's €1,600 as well. Is that more expensive or no? I think that's cheaper than a Kemper, isn't it? Definitely cheaper than an Axe FX3, isn't it? Which I guess it's going to replace for a lot of people. Also, I think it's probably going to make a lot of people think twice about getting a Kemper, because Kemper haven't updated their hardware in however many years. I don't know, is it 6 or 7 years or something? Which is a bit of an issue, isn't it? I think not necessarily getting them much attention in the market for sure. I think they're about to release the Kemper cabinet thing, but is there anything less sexy than a cabinet? Braden Mikona, I guess, is how you would say that. I'm going to guess that's some sort of South American-ish name, or Spanish, maybe Italian. No, it's got an I don't know. Anyway, in what context do I play live? I play quite a few like smaller jazz gigs, like in a duo or trio or quartet. I play a few weddings and stuff, or quite a lot of weddings actually. That's kind of the main place that I get sort of money. So playing like in function bands, last night I did like a funk blues kind of set in a bar, I guess you'd call it, or like a steak house. Um, yeah, generally the normal sorts of gigs that I guess a lot of us end up doing that don't have burgeoning original careers. Is that a can of apple ties? No, it's Relentless. It's an energy drink. The most exciting type of gig that I do is like a little solo gig where I sit with a looper and try and come up with stuff, which is fun. Yeah, is it Braden? Am I saying that right? Maybe. Um, in a lot of those places, a modeler is kind of one of the, I guess, preferred or most common uh, situations that I come across. Um, I don't find it personally as fun as a real amp. Like, I've got some Mesa Boogies over there which I prefer to take um, if I can. But some of those gigs you've got in ears and stuff, and that's always a bit of a challenge, and it's a kind of a difficult thing to feel all that connected to your guitar, but it's what it is. And then there's some gigs where I have to take a PA and stuff as well. So for that, I'll just sling this little pedal board in the car, which has an HX stomp on it, and then I'm good to go. So I guess convenience wise, that's why I have quite an interest in modelers. I guess as well, if you were doing like a touring gig, it would be a great solution and probably cost a lot less more than carting around an app or hiring backline whenever you got to wherever you're going. So I also use modeling a lot more for recording, but it's something that I'm potentially thinking of trying to change. As I'm wanting to try and do some stuff where I'm exploring how to mic up, like in a home situation like this, which I guess is probably where the majority of people that are watching my channel are probably players at home like me. So I thought it would be interesting to try and get like good recorded mic tones with a valve amp at home, because it's not something I've really been able to do particularly well at this point, but I figured it could be interesting. But you do know almost every time what you're going to get when you record a modeler, so from that point of view it's decent. And also it can be a lot less noisy from two aspects. So it's less noisy in terms of actual volume, and then less noisy because you don't have, like dogs barking and stuff. Generally, if you've got a modeler, it's not going to come through. So that's a good thing, unless they're barking right into your pickup. Put a little bit of distortion on this thing and see what it's like. Loud. Oh, I had the gate on all this time. That's the issue. easy, isn't it? It's yeah, definitely more closer to what I could use. But again, the only issue I have is that I can't really record with it. So the way that I could use it is if I reamp either through the Kemper or through the Helix. So then I can get a sound that I can connect with. And then I could reamp it through the Pliny, if you see what I mean. Because otherwise, as I said earlier in the video, I'm playing ahead of the beat all the time, which really annoys me. Playing ahead of the beat more than I usually would is the issue. That's with no gate off, and it's still got some issues for me. So that's, I do like the sounds on it, but it's not that easy for me to use because of the latency still. I don't know how good a computer and sound card you have to get for that to no longer be an issue at all. And then the reason I use the HX Stomp more than the floor, I guess it's because it's the one that I got first. So I'm more comfortable using it. I guess I quite like the simplicity of it. But then I come to the Helix when I want to do those kind of crazy looping and freezing patches that you might have seen on my channel. I find the Helix is really fun. If you've got, like 15 minutes to just sit down and play for a bit, I find that's one of the more inspiring pieces of gear I have. You can just stick that freeze patch on, stick a looper on, and that's really fun. But yeah, that's the reason I use the HX Stomp a bit more, just because it's so convenient and tiny. Hopefully that answers that. Right, I'm going to go in a second, so unless anyone else has a quick question that they want to ask, feel free to leave comments. And if you wanted to hear what I made or what I thought of the Pliny, I've done a video most recently, which you might want to check out. I'm also selling t-shirts. I'm just kidding. So yeah, quickly ask a question if you've got one. We get feedback there. Awesome. That's all right, Braden. Yeah, if you've got ideas for stuff you want to see from me, just drop comments on videos on my channel. I do read them, obviously, and I'm always looking for ideas of what people want to see. So feel free to drop comments and stuff, and I'll see what I can do. Otherwise, cheers, guys, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening.